Help us grow our show by leaving a rating and review of Marijuana Today Daily on iTunes. Just search for the term marijuana and let us know how we're doing. This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by our friends over at Ease, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery. Have you ever found yourself sitting there with enough time on your hands to consume a little cannabis and maybe play some video games or listen to some music or just pick up around the house? Maybe you want to practice the piano or crank out some progress on your latest woodworking project. You might enjoy flying a kite in your large and treeless backyard or obsess over getting your Rubik's Cube solve time down below 9 seconds. Whatever it is that you like to do after consuming cannabis, you can make it easier to jump into your favorite high activity by opening up ease.com to place an order for legal marijuana delivery, assuming, of course, that you live in the part of California where delivery is allowed and where Ease is active. With Ease deliveries taking place in less than an hour, you could be 60 minutes or so away from landing 5 clubs juggling on weed for the first time since you landed 4. Just fire up ease.com, which is spelled E-A-Z-E. That's ease.com for all your legal California marijuana delivery. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Wednesday, May 9th, 2018, and you're tuned in to episode 486 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. As he does so often, our buddy Tom Angel over at Marijuana Moment grabbed today's top spot with his story about a proposed piece of marijuana-related legislation in the U.S. Senate that did something special yesterday. It was approved by committee. The story for marijuana legislation in the GOP-controlled Congress has been one of a blockade, as Republican committee chairs have shot down anything touching cannabis time and time and time again. Until yesterday. Tom has a good story on this one with lots of detail and background, so I'd suggest clicking over for the full read. The bill, H.R. 5220, would encourage the Department of Veterans Affairs to research the medicinal benefits of medical cannabis. The bill was sponsored by a bipartisan pair of members of Congress and has 52 bipartisan co-sponsors. The state of California appears to be a little behind on its projected legal marijuana tax revenues. The Associated Press is reporting that officials have projected that legal marijuana taxes and fees would bring in $175 million by the end of June. As the AP has it, though, the state pulled in just $34 million in the first 3 months of this year, putting them pretty far off track to hit that $175 million mark by mid-year. This speaks to how turbulent and still disrupted the California market is as it transitions from a gray market system to a new adult use and medical scheme as enacted by 2016's Proposition 64. Rounding out today's top stories is the news out of Georgia that medical marijuana patients in that state can now become registered if they live with PTSD or intractable pain. Yesterday, Georgia Governor Nathan Deal signed a bill into law that adds those 2 conditions to the list of medical marijuana qualifying conditions. The state's medical cannabis program is still one of the more limited systems in the country, but at least it's headed in the right track in terms of progress. It's also still notable that PTSD got added as a qualifying condition. Georgia medical marijuana patients are limited to low THC, high CBD cannabis oil, which they are on their own to procure. One of the more interesting storylines out of Georgia involves State Representative Alan Peake, who has made headlines in the past for actively distributing CBD oil brought in from out of state to patients in need. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before I blitz it on headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor Ease, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery. With Mother's Day coming up this Sunday, it's probably not a bad time to start thinking about how to celebrate that special cannabis-consuming mom in your life. Ease actually has a couple of posts up about Mother's Day on ease.com, with one offering some gift suggestions while the other delves into the increase in sales seen by legal marijuana businesses on that day. Whether your marijuana Mother's Day interest is academic or transactional, or maybe both, you can find it all by opening up ease.com, which is spelled E-A-Z-E. Assuming you live in a part of California where delivery is allowed and where Ease is active, you could be less than an hour away from taking delivery. Just pop over to ease.com to see what's available in your local area. And if delivery isn't an option for you, and of course, even if it is, you can still benefit from all the helpful industry insight and analysis the Ease team has developed using their properly aggregated and anonymized sales data stream. One last time, that's ease.com. Zipping up to Canada for a headline, we have officials with Health Canada pushing back on the idea of delaying the rollout of nationwide adult use legalization so as to give representatives from the First Nations more time to give input on the issue. In a statement released yesterday to CBC News, Health Canada said, quote, "The current system is not working. Canada has some of the highest rates of youth use of cannabis. The illegal market is thriving, and Canadians continue to be subject to criminal prosecution for possession of small amounts of cannabis. Delaying the legalization and regulation of cannabis would not change this." Unquote. Spoken like a true activist. Kyle Yeager over at Marijuana Moment has news out of Missouri of the advancement of legislation legalizing medical marijuana. We've touched on this storyline before with a bill allowing for a limited medical marijuana program passing the state house last week and going up before the state Senate this week. Yesterday, that bill, HB 1554, which would give patients living with a limited list of qualifying conditions the right to use smokeless forms of medical marijuana, was referred to the Missouri State Senate Committee on Health and Pensions. If it survives a swing through that committee, it would go before the full Senate for their deliberation and a final vote. Echoing themes of our second top headline of the day is a story in Marijuana Business Daily about the difficulties that are driving some legal marijuana businesses out of the city of Los Angeles in search of other places where it's easier to operate. This is a longer running storyline here on Marijuana Today Daily, as Los Angeles has stumbled over rolling out its legal marijuana business system with long delays in licensing and lax compliance checks coming as a result of a city office that still only has 4 full-time staff members, even as plans to expand up to 28 have been approved. In a growing sign of the maturation of Canada's legal marijuana markets, one of the country's largest banks has issued a report looking at the market potential of legal marijuana. The Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce, or just CIBC, is Canada's 4th largest bank and just issued a report projecting that adult use marijuana sales in the country would hit $6.5 billion Canadian in 2020, or $4.6 billion US. This is a great story to click over for the full read. Picking up his second story of the day, Tom Angel over at Marijuana Moments nicely packaged up news about Republican Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and Democratic Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, who have overlapped in recent days in ways they usually don't by teaming up to support a hemp legalization bill introduced by Senator McConnell. As Tom's piece has it, though, the legislative love does not flow from Senator McConnell's heart to the legislation Senator Schumer says he will introduce to remove most federal restrictions on state legal adult use marijuana. Click over to Tom's piece on Marijuana Moment for more on this one and to see videos of the 2 senators speaking about their bills. Speaking of the legalization of hemp, legislation in Arizona is currently on the desk of Governor Doug Ducey that would legalize the growing, processing, and selling of industrial hemp. The governor has until May 14th to either veto or approve the measure, upon which time it would go into effect without his signature. SB 1098, assuming it survives without being vetoed, would set up a pilot program to be run by the Department of Agriculture that would allow licensed farmers the right to cultivate hemp. And finally for today, we have some pretty low-down tactics being slung by prohibitionists in Illinois, who are claiming that police dogs trained to indicate the presence of marijuana would need to be put down if adult-use marijuana was legalized. And even worse, those prohibitionists are police officials. For the record, no police dogs will be or have ever been put down because of progressive marijuana laws. To suggest anything otherwise is either just stupid or an outright lie. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at MJ Today Daily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Which dinosaur was the sleepiest? The Brontosaurus. Thanks to our sponsor, Ease, and to all of our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with marijuana today. Today.
One take, Shay. One take.